I must be honest, I have to now question the Dolphins' legitimacy. Now, I'm not saying I think they're legitimate, but I would be an illegitimate analyst if I did not at least question the legitimacy of the Miami Dolphins. It's very simple. When you play teams that are below 500, you win. Yeah. And not only do you win, the Dolphins smack them around. They embarrass the bottom of the barrel in the NFL. But when they play the cream of the crop, all of a sudden it changes. It changes. Now I get it. The offensive line for the Dolphins has been much maligned. Jalen Ramsey didn't show up until last game. Javon Holland has been up, and I get all of the excuses. However, you either win or you lose. Dolphins have seen the Chiefs, they lost. Saw the Eagles, they lost. Saw the Bills, they lost. Those are all three playoff or fringe playoff teams, the fringe being the Bills. So how can you not question the Dolphins' legitimacy? That's where I currently am. A really good football team when they play bad opponents, Joy, but when they play good opponents, for whatever reason, whether it's in Buffalo, whether it's in Germany, whether it's in Miami, they do struggle. Is it time to question the Dolphins' legitimacy?
Well, I know it's tough, Joy. It was just tough for me, A-Block.
It's Groundhog Day. Yeah, it is. I mean, I got to do my job, right? I got to do my job. You beat bad teams, really, really bad, just
smack them around.
And then you lose pretty convincingly
to
the good teams. It's almost like you're getting garbage time points or something. Now, I don't want to go that far because these are NFL teams that you're playing and beating and putting up the 70 points. That's only ever happened one other time. Fine. But go beat the big teams. And what's frustrating about it is we've seen Tua do it. We've seen Tua beat great teams. We've seen him have comeback performances. So you're capable of it. You have the pieces. You have an MVP candidate in Tyreek Hill. You have the #1 offense in the league. So your defense actually played well. The defense, which we've been questioning throughout the whole season, has been showing up lately. So what is the issue? You got to win these games. And you have to win these games if you want to be considered real contenders. Because when the Bills lose, we have concerns. We have concerns, but we still have faith because we've seen what they can do. When the Bengals fall behind early in the season, we have questions, but we see what they can do. When the Chiefs don't look high-flying and flashy and on fire, we don't question it because we've seen what they can do. We haven't seen what you can do. Yes, you made the playoffs, but Tua wasn't there. So if you're going to walk around like you are a top team in the NFL, you have to beat other top teams. And I thought about this morning, because we talked about the Eagles a lot, like last year. Oh, they haven't beaten anybody. They haven't beaten anybody. They haven't beaten anybody. They're not for real. This record's fake. They're not for real. But then they started beating people. And we were like, all right, I guess they are serious. You've had an opportunity to beat the Bills, who are in your division, the Eagles, who, despite the fact that they have the best record in the league, haven't been playing crazy. There's still questions about what they're going to do when they finally turn it on.
That's true.
They just find ways to win. And now you have the Chiefs on a neutral ground. This isn't an Arrowhead. This is a neutral ground, and you can't get it done. What was that first half? You turn the ball over, and then you have the ball. You have an opportunity to send it into overtime and just
fumble the snap.
What is it? You can't do it, and you can't. It's unacceptable because we know that you can. We know that Tua can do it. We know this Dolphins team can beat real teams. So what is it about this year? It's very concerning to me because you have to look at the past and your resume, and then you have to focus on what's happening this season, right? You need a mixture of both when you're evaluating these teams. We know you can do it, but this year you haven't. So if you are a contender this year, you've got to go beat one of these good teams. Now, they have some coming up at the end of the season. It's going to be rough. But yeah, you got to keep it real. This is disappointing.
The biggest disappointment is the good teams they played, they really beat downs. I don't care how the score may look at the end of the game. If you watch the 3 games that they have lost against the Eagles, beat down. That was a dominant performance by the Eagles. Against the Buffalo Bills, beat down. The Kansas City Chiefs was up 21-0.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And yes, you came out in the second half and got a couple scores, but this game was being dominated by the Chiefs on both sides of the football. And especially the defensive side of the football in the first half. Every time we talk Dolphins, we always look at the opponent and say, ooh, are they going to be able to score with Tua? But with these good teams, they can't score. You know, so it's like, man, like, come on now. You guys are built on scoring, helping your defense out by putting up some points and giving them a lead. But on the good teams, Y'all can't put up points on these good teams. So that's what stood out to me the most. And I was sitting there watching the game like, these dudes ain't legit. I don't care how talented the roster is. The three really good football teams, it wasn't close. It wasn't even a fight. If you watch the game, you may say it's a fight by the score, but if you really watch the game, you're like, come on, man, the Dolphins shouldn't even been on the field with those three good teams. And that's how I feel watching it. And to have all the talent, especially on the offensive side of the ball with what they have, they got to be better. I don't trust them to be nobody in the playoffs right now. Yeah. Probably except Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
But I don't expect them to even have a chance against JoJo Burrow and them boys. It wouldn't be close the way they showing they playing against good football teams.
To put in context what you're saying, the Dolphins have never had a lead versus the three teams with a winning record this year. Have never had a lead versus the Buffalo Bills, the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Kansas City Chiefs. At no point in time during any of those minutes of those 12 cumulative quarters have the Dolphins been leading. That is cause for concern to not even at any junction in time have a lead. It's hard for me, James, to say they got beat down in everyone. Maybe it's because my bias, so I will admit that. But I will say this. At no point in time did I think the Dolphins were in control. Exactly. At any point in time. And that's the nicest way to say it. They got beat down is the most real or cruelest way to say it. The nicest way is at no point in time did I feel shady the Dolphins were ever in control. Do you question their legitimacy?
Yeah, I do. I got to say, are they really legit? Are they? I mean, who they beat? So that's the thing, though. When I start looking at the good teams and the bad teams, right? Some stats for you. Out of the 6 wins that they do have, they average 39 points per game against the bad teams. That's why we're so hyped on the offense. Oh, my God, these players, this, that. They play a good team. They're averaging 17 points a game. It's like, yo, what's going on? Same players?
Yeah.
What is it?
Same play.
When you same play, same coach. So you're asking, like, are they legit? I got to say no. I want to say yes. But the stats and what I see and what I watch, I got to say no. And how can we make this team so good to be an elite team in the AFC if they can't beat none of the good teams in the AFC?
Yeah.
Don't add up. And Terrell Owens said it best.
Yeah.
If it quack like a duck, look like a duck, waddle like a duck.
It's not an eagle.
Yeah.
It's a duck.
And not only that, we talked Tua in the MVP conversation. He ain't outplayed none of these quarterbacks on these good teams.
Good point. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Point. Like, he ain't stepped on the field and said, hey, I'm that dude, and outplayed none of these dudes. To not to have a lead.
No lead.
In 3 games of good teams, come on, man, you ain't legit.
Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak, and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.